Welcome to the cloud, place where I talk to people who are chasing their dreams, but also living them as well too. Today we got a special guest. It's my man Marcus from Inkwell. Let me talk about you before I give you that handshake I usually do. This is a young man that I've known for a long time, not from close, but mostly from afar. He took a unique path from being from Auburn or being from a small town of a career, but he stuck to it and is now doing very, very well with his own tattoo parlor, where he does some of the best work, not only in Auburn, New York, but I would believe in Central New York and maybe in the state itself. So again, welcome, my man Marcus. How you doing?
Man?
What up?
Well, thank you. Appreciate you.
How you doing, man? Good to see you.
Good,
How's
man.
your day been? Been good?
It's been good. It was busy.
Good, man.
Busy,
So look, man, I gave a little bit of a spiel about you, but like I said, I've heard about you, man, and I've known about you a long time as well, too. You have a unique upbringing, and I think it's a story for a lot of the people in the world to hear, listen to, and then see how you grinded and made it to where you are right now as well, too. So with that being said, I want to start from the top. I usually start with my guests as we conversate about what their upbringing was like. So explain your family dynamics, brothers, sisters, things like that.
Well, first of all, I'm from Auburn. I was raised by a single mother and my two brothers. I got a big family though, real big family.
We all do, man. My dad's my father's one of 14, so I feel you, but go ahead.
Yeah, it was an experience, you know. My mom did the best she could.
For sure.
She's a hustler, man. That's where I got it from, you know.
Exactly. What's your mother's name? Let's talk about
Abby.
it. Abby, all right.
Abby Bovey. Yeah.
Okay, copy. So what's your brothers and sisters' names as well, too? Let's get to
Trevor Ash is my younger brother, and Jesse Bovey is my older brother.
For sure, man. Those two dudes I've known because I'm a little older than you. We're probably around the same age, but I've known them very well for a long time in life. Yeah. And good people for what I've known, and stand-up people as well, too. But moving on from there, you said a single parent home.
Yep.
Whether it's father or mother, I think being a single parent is going to be tough in its sense. Explain how that affected you or how you saw that from your perspective.
Growing up is what I was used to, you know. My father really wasn't in my life at a young age. She had us young. He had me young, you know what I mean? So, but no, it was tough. It was tough.
What are is there any like pivotal moments in that time that you can remember that was some of your toughest that just stuck with you and then maybe built you for how you are now?
Just, you know, my older brother, he was like my father figure, you know, because he's 5 years older than I am.
Okay.
So, and I watched what he went through as a young kid. You know, he's seen a lot more of the struggle than I did, you know.
I hear you, bro.
It was a good time.
So in that time, you're a child. We all figure out things. When I was a younger kid, I liked wrestlers. I was on WWF day in and day out. Stone Cold is the greatest. Let's not have that debate. If you want to, we could go there for about 15 minutes or 50 minutes. But I'd rather stay away. With that said, what were some of the hobbies that you were into as a kid? As a young kid?
When I was a kid, you know, running around with my friends, skateboarding.
Boarding?
Yeah.
Now let me stop you there.
Yeah, skateboarding. Yeah.
Your pigmentation does not usually say to somebody that looks like us that you would ride a skateboard, right? When I say hobbies, like explain what drew you to what most would say the alternative, I guess, style of living.
Nintendo 64.
For sure.
Tony Hawk Underground, you know, playing the game.
Classic.
And I was like, yeah, I'm ready. I want a skateboard.
For sure.
I loved it.
What was your favorite Tony Hawk game ever, though? Was it that one?
I think it was Underground 2.
Underground 2?
Yeah.
Which one was the game when you hit the jump, right? You could pull the board from under and you kind of went like Jesus for a minute and you put it under?
That was Tony Hawk. Yeah.
Was that Underground or was that?
It was both of them.
Now, what's the difference between Tony Hawk and skate? We're going a little off topic, but it's good. It's worth it.
Skate was like the more advanced, like after like Tony Hawk opened the door, you know?
Copy.
I didn't really play that too much because it was like an Xbox game.
So with that being said, you get into skateboarding. Did you have any favorite skateboarders other than Tony Hawk? Were you into the culture like that much, or did you just enjoy the sport?
I just enjoyed getting outside, man.
I
was outside as a kid, you know? My mom was working all the time, so after school, I was outside.
I hear that.
Know?
It was your escape from whatever, right?
Yeah.
I hear that. Yeah. So speaking of school, how did you do in school? How was school for you? Was it something that you liked?
It was all right, you know. I was a good kid.
Did you enjoy school though? It's okay to say you didn't enjoy school.
You know, it was a challenge for me. You know, I didn't really I had friends, but I wasn't really like involved with like hanging out with my friends. You know, I was more of a loner. I always had my own thing going on.
In your own way of thinking.
Yeah.
Right? Let me ask, I asked that question because, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I asked that question because when you are in that space as a child, as much as it is young and you're trying to navigate your way, you ultimately end up kind of living who you are as you grow. You just adapt and learn how to navigate through life, right?
Yeah.
What was it like for you to be a loner? Like, what things did you gravitate to? Like, what hobbies, what artistic things did you get into? What music were you listening to? Like, what things filled your time?
Oh, man, like painting, drawing. In school, I was always the kid drawing. You know, I wasn't paying attention in class.
Yeah.
Like, art class was my
That's your shit? You could talk.
You know?
You could curse. We grown in here.
Yeah, that's about it, man. Skating, painting, drawing, being outside. That's about it, man.
So we get to high school probably, right? Let's just skip up to there, all right? Because those high school times, you start to find yourself a little bit more, right?
Okay.
As men, those are pivotal moments. As any individual, female or male.
Definitely.
I think it's a pivotal moment in our lives because we start to really figure out who we are, what we want to be, what we're going to stand for, what we're not going to stand for, right? What was your high school experience like?
So high school was cool. I was straight edge in high school, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't, I started out hanging out with some friends that were into hardcore music and Auburn hardcore.
Okay.
If you didn't know, like Auburn hardcore was like legendary.
Okay.
You know, even like around like New York City, East Coast, Buffalo, like Auburn hardcore was like where it's at.
So explain what that is to a person like me, because this is a culture I don't even know about, and I've been here for all the time. So explain that a little bit.
So, you know, I made a few friends. You know, we were both into like heavy metal, rock and roll, like stuff like that. You know, and we had the same views on like lifestyle and shit. You know, I was into fucking playing in bands and going to shows, even like at Auburn Public Theater, BTW, and like moshing, and you know, doing that type of thing.
So my thing is, the reason I'm asking that, I'm not prying, but I do want to know because, you know, I'm a music head myself.
Yeah.
But when you think about music in Auburn, for me, it is only the some of the bands that I know and just some of the rappers that I know, right? I've been here my whole life, don't even know who some of those bands were. Can you say who some of your favorite bands were, same favorite performers were at the time?
I would say one of the most legendary bands from Auburn is Sacred Pledge.
Okay.
They were a straight edge band.
Okay.
And they were pretty fucking good, man.
And can you explain the culture of what straight edge was? Because I heard of it when I was in high school, but what was it?
It was a brotherhood for me outside of high school.
Okay.
Like in high school, I was just like, you know, this kid, like I didn't really fit in, you know?
Yeah.
But outside of high school, it was like most of my friends were a little like older.
Okay.
And I would hang out with them a lot. And we would like travel to Pennsylvania and they would take me to shows. And eventually, like, my friend Paul and I, we got into a band with another friend of ours who was older, and he kind of showed us the path of, you know, being able to travel and write music and do all that. You know, like I was skipping school for 2 days, and I would be somewhere in like Erie, Pennsylvania, and my mom wouldn't even know where you was at. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I'd just show up. Where were you?
Exactly.
You know, I was staying at someene's house down in Buffalo, you know what I mean? And a legendary time, some of the best times I've ever had, yeah.
And did they, and those times were they were probably cultural times for you, right? As it pertains to it, like for what you got, because from what I understood, and let me give you from my perspective, straight edge to me was just dudes that lived the alternative lifestyle, right? But weren't really necessarily into what you hear on the outside is don't drink, don't do anything like that. You would see it as just simply that.
Well, that was a big part of it, yeah.
For sure, but I think, from what you understand, from what you're telling me, it seems like it was way more powerful than that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it definitely put a stamp on my life, and just being around people who had a positive outlook. I mean, we were pissed off kids. Like, we didn't do drugs or drink or nothing like that, but we were into fighting and all that type of stuff.
I hear that shit.
That's how we had our fun.
I hear that shit. So when I say that to you, I feel like you've lived a life of adventure. At what point through that journey, as like an adult, know, like, look, I'm good at doing this, and this is something that I might even attempt to try and do?
Well, I met somebody when I I was actually a freshman in high school.
Okay.
He started tattooing at a shop in Newark, New York. Eventually, he started tattooing me. I was getting tattooed at a underage, you know, and I loved it because all of my older friends had tattoos. So
Yeah.
I was into. That's what basically opened the door to me.
Okay.
You know, and I was going out there. You know, I dropped out of high school by like 10th grade, so I was just driving out to the tattoo shop every day and like getting tattooed, hanging around. They're showing me how to paint, draw, stuff like that, and I fell in love with it. You know, I knew the tattoo shop was where I wanted to be, and I never really had a vision of going to college or anything like that, you know.
So explain that though. You know, I don't want to skip too far, but we'll actually get to that. But let me just double back real quick. How much is there a connection between actual drawing, painting, as there is to actually having the needle in your hand and then putting on skin? Like, how much is there a connection between that in general?
It's very, very close, you know. Like, I think it starts off with like just being able to draw a solid design, you know, because I could be an amazing oil painter, but applying that to the skin is a whole different ball game.
Okay.
You know, there's a big technical side to it.
All right.
You know.
So when you talk about the technicalities and things of that, I feel like every one of us in what we do or what we love to do have had people that showed us the way, right? Or showed us how to necessarily do things, the culture of things, the ethics of how we do what we say we love to do. If possible, can you mention those people by name that put that in you and instilled the love for tattooing and being the artist that you are today?
What I have to say, I think Mark Willis, he was kind of a close friend to us. He kind of showed me that, like, oh, this is possible, you know, because he started tattooing under a guy named Rob Robson. Okay. He owns Cruel Hand Tattoo in Newark. Rob actually took me in after me knocking on the door, showing up, because I had nothing better to do. I would be like, yo, I'm gonna take the trash out. Eventually he would start letting me watching him tattoo. Yeah. I was just like hanging around, you know, and then he was like, oh, eventually he was giving me pointers. And then he was like, yo, bring one of your friends in, you know, to see what you can do on his leg. You know, it was kind of a crash course with him because he was a busy guy. Yeah. You know, he didn't really have the time to take out and really like sit me down and give me a spot, but he got me started. You know? It was a rough start for me.
I want to sit there, and it's somewhat of a statement, but also I want you to hit on it as well too. I do this show because, like I said to you before, and like I always say, there's a whole bunch of us that think, or that have been trained to think, that the only way to get a dollar or make a living is by doing what society tells you what to do. Right. Whether it be go to college, go get a job, go do this, things of that nature. I choose to think that you could do both, or you could just choose to bet on yourself like you have and make a career out of it as well too. I think the part that's skipped is that we end up seeing you with your own shop. A lot of people don't understand what you did prior to. So can you just go a little bit deeper into what you mean when you say it was a rough start for me to figure out, or to even get my foot in the door as to how to pick up the needle and put it on skin?
So I started at Cruel Hand, just being a hanger-on. You know, I did a couple tattoos there. He wasn't really over my shoulder like that, but he gave me a shot. And then eventually, a friend of mine, Dre Taylor, he said, oh, Mike in Auburn, he has a shop here called Underground. He was like, oh, he's looking for an apprentice. So instead of like driving my Honda Civic out to Newark every day, 'cause I was, you know, broke. I couldn't even put gas in it, you know what I mean? So I was like, all right, yeah, I'll take the shot. So he brought me into his shop. It was on Genesee Street at the time. And he was like, yo, I'm going to start you out doing $20 tattoos. So I did that for like 2 years.
Dang.
Yeah, just tattooing everybody, you know. It was crazy. He got my chops up, you know.
So let me ask you a question. How was it getting clientele? People were just coming in, he's like, yo, go do $20 tattoo over there?
Yeah, no, he just gave me a little spot in the shop, and he was like, you know, he put it out there that I was just starting, and people they didn't hesitate to come see me, you know, because I had the paintings and drawings and stuff like that already.
Your grind in itself, as you could say, you said you went from just hanging around, right?
Yeah.
To saying, hey, I would just bring the trash out every day. You know what I'm saying?
Pretty
Like
much.
that's a grind. Like that's a level of dedication. And not that, let's be real. You might not have went in there and said, look, I'm gonna bring out trash with the thought process of becoming. Let me ask the question. Let me not assume. Did you go in there with the thought process that I'm gonna do whatever it takes to learn this craft and get there? Or did you just go there saying, hey, I'm here, let me hang out?
I think it was more or less, I kind of like, I didn't think he was going to give me a chance. It was just like more or less me showing up and just like hanging out, and hopefully he would give me a shot. You know what I mean? I was 17 at the time.
Yeah,
you know?
so
I had nothing better to do.
I hear that, man. So you did your apprenticeship, has you doing $20 you go to Underground Ink and they have you doing $20 tattoos, correct?
Yeah, in Auburn.
And full transparency, that's when, like, I've known of you, but at that point is when I knew you was nasty at doing, you know what I'm saying, at doing tattooing, right? This is what I do the show for, too. When did Marcus look in the mirror and say, hey, I'm good enough to be like, I don't have to be under somebody. I'm a bet on myself.
Oh, man, that's
that moment?
A tough question. I still feel kind of like, damn, you know, I'm ready to learn, like, regardless. Like I feel like I'm forever an apprentice. Mm-hmm. Like I'm never gonna be to the point where I'm completely happy with what I do. You know, I always look at my own work and I'm like, damn, I could have did this different or did that different, you know? But anyways, working for Mike, it was more like a crash course because he threw me in, you know, because I needed to do more tattoos to like figure it out. He was also another busy guy, and he kind of showed me more of the business side of it, and he gave me a shot. After working with him for a couple years, I ended up leaving, and I went down to Ithaca, and I met a man named Nate Waterman, who owns Artistic Point Tattoo. And his shop was a totally different vibe. You know, it was all about the art, you know. He tattooed in San Diego for like 10 years, went to art school. So I walked in there and I was like, hey man, I'm looking for an apprenticeship. And I showed him my portfolio and he laughed at it, of course. You know, because he's a real dope tattooer.
Yeah.
Like, really good at like Japanese and like very seasoned dude. He knows what he's talking about.
For sure.
So he was like, oh, I don't know, man. I'm not really looking for somebody. So I left. Maybe a month went by. I went back down. I walked into a shop again. And he was like, oh, man. All right, yeah, come in the back with me. Let's talk for a minute, you know? And he ended up starting me all over again, like from scratch, you know, from the very beginning. For the first 6 months I was at his shop, I didn't tattoo anybody. You know, every day I would walk in, and I was driving my 92 Honda Civic to Ithaca every day on a quarter tank of gas.
Dang,
right?
Man.
I didn't, you know, it was whatever. I was going to do whatever to learn from this guy because I knew, like, his portfolio was crazy. He was like, yeah, come down. So I ended up driving there every day, and he would give me a list. I'd have to dust everything in the shop, take the garbage out, answer the phone, scrub tubes, autoclave stuff, watch him tattoo. I was basically the shop hand. Go get coffee. And other than that, I was drawing. He was giving me drawing lessons, you know? It was just like him seeing where I was at and stopping me to break old habits that I developed, basically tattooing on my own underneath other people.
So at the time, explain quickly the feeling between having the freedom to just go and put your hands on the needle to being restricted in the way that you were. Like, how much did you have to humble yourself to even sit in that space?
Oh man, it was tough, you know, because I was in a shop working, taking walk-ins, barely knowing what I was doing, you know. But going there, he's like, I was willing to take the chance, and he was willing to take the chance on me. So I wanted to do anything I could to impress him.
I hear that, man, and I think making a statement to the audience.
And I kind of knew where I was at too. There was things about what I was doing that I wasn't sure of. You know? No one was really there to look over my shoulder and be like, "Bro, that line sucks. That line is wiggly. That shading is patchy. You know, you're running your machine too high." You know, and he was that guy for me.
Okay, so you got your technicalities in there.
Yeah.
I asked that because I not even asked that. I asked that question because I want that to be very transparent for the people that we talking to, because they got to know it takes that, right?
Yeah.
Being an entrepreneur isn't something easy. Being somebody that wants to bet on themselves isn't going to happen overnight. We ain't winning the lottery every day, you know what I mean? To hear that you went from actually being able to tattoo to having to go back down to basically being a hand that was just learning the craft from scratch, and you being able to have the wherewithal to humble yourself and realize that the back end was going to pay off, right? Speaks volumes to who you are as a person, your character as a person, your resilience as a person, but also the success that you've gotten today and that you're going to reach, right? Let's switch a little gears though. I want to have a little bit of fun. As youngins, we watch mad music videos, rock videos, whatever. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions quick. Give me 2 of your favorite hardcore bands that were famous, like on the top, everybody knew. Who were they?
There's so many of them.
I just need 2.
There's so many of them. I think the Cro-Mags are one of my favorite bands.
Okay.
They're sick. And Earth Crisis from Syracuse.
Copy.
Yeah.
I like that you keep it 315 and local. I love that shit.
Yeah, Earth Crisis was
you definitely
big
got
influence
to.
on me.
Also, with that being said, we watch a lot of music videos. Like when I think of music videos, you always think of the chain, you think of the hats and the clothes and the sneakers that people are wearing and the money that they're throwing. But then there's the tattoos. I always remember 50 Cent, and I think it was, not the recent one when he was fat hanging upside down at the Super Bowl, but the other one in the actual video, he had that 50 on his back.
Yeah.
And I watched a documentary and said that was the artist Cartoon, I think it was, who did his tattoo, a couple of Eminem's tattoos as well too. So I put that to say to you, do you have a top 3 famous tattoo artists that you followed or that you loved their work or that you were into?
I think my favorite black and gray artist would be like Jack Rudy, Bug. He's a really good artist from the West Coast. He just passed away. Though. Rest in peace. His flash is in every shot.
All right.
His style is crazy. And I would probably say Burt Grimm.
Okay.
Yeah, Burt Grimm is like the master of like American traditional tattoos. His designs are awesome.
So that leads me into something else as well too. What's your favorite styles of doing tattoos? Like I know you're probably good at certain, but like is there any that you're intrigued on learning that's your favorite that you just see? Or is there some that are just your favorite just to do all the time too?
I think my favorite 2 styles are American traditional and black and gray. Those are my 2 go-tos. I really don't sway outside of those.
So that's what you could do.
Yeah, that's
what's
what
your favorites? If you could get them on your body, any style, do you like that as well too, or is there different styles that you?
To get tattooed, I'd probably say like Japanese.
Okay.
That stuff is very intriguing. Like, there's so much to it. There's so many rules to it. You gotta like take the voyage to Japan to like really learn.
Wow, that's sick. I didn't even know there was that much culture as it pertains to the tattooing like that. So I also want to ask this question, even having more fun. You always see wild tattoos in wild places, lips. Let's just imagine. In your career, what's your top 3 wildest places you put tattoos?
Oh man, I've obviously done like names on the boobs, stuff like that. I don't know. I don't really do anything crazy like that.
Nothing nuts.
No, I stick the arms and legs. I don't like the.
You don't like the.
No. I've had people ask me, but. Nah.
I was just gonna ask you that. Has there ever been a tattoo you just absolutely said, "Nah, I'm not doing this"? And what was it? What was the ask? Right? What was the ask? And what was the tattoo you just said, "Absolutely not, can't do it"?
Oh man. I turned down a lot of tattoos, a lot of crazy ideas that I'm not comfortable with. But
copy. So let me switch gears. So I see a lot of these things where it's like tattoo artists saying, "Well, I'm not going to put a tattoo on somebody's face if such and such." Like, is there a certain culture of respect or ethics that every tattoo artist goes by in doing stuff like that?
Yeah. Normally, I'm not trying to tattoo anybody's face. Unless they're like completely covered. If an 18-year-old walks in, they're like, "I want a face tat." I'm like, "No,
exactly,
get out of here." Like, like there are artists out there that would be like, "All right, yeah, give me the money, I'll do it." But for me, I wouldn't feel good about that.
So was there, as much as you were on the go as a child and as an adolescent, was there any weird jobs that you did before you just settled on sitting and doing what you love, and what were they?
My very first job, I was 14, and I worked as a dishwasher at Connie's Deli.
I ain't mad at you.
For Doug and Connie, yeah. They were awesome people, man. I miss Connie's Deli, the real Connie's Deli.
Facts. Now let's talk about two things. Since you want to, let's reminisce for a little bit. The waffle fries.
Oh my God.
Top notch.
Yes.
You understand me? Waffle fries are top notch.
That cowboy burger, that was ridiculous.
Come on, man. We gotta start talking about this.
I miss that place.
I'm gonna end up getting hungry. We're gonna have to go to State Street right now and break into that mug right now or something. Golly.
Great place.
Well, Mark, look, man, it was a great conversation to have with you, right? And I think your story in itself, bro, is pivotal and very inspirational for everybody in our community, but hopefully if I blow up, to everybody in the world. That's what I do it for. I call it the cloud for a reason. A lot of times on our phones and shit like that, we leave anything in the cloud, a picture, password, whatever, right? And it stays there forever. Since this is the cloud here, I always ask my guests to leave something inspirational or something that they would like to leave in the cloud for when somebody comes back to watch the show or double back and be like, oh, Marcus make $3 billion now being a tattoo artist. Let me go back and see this interview I did. What was it? Or what were some things that you want to leave for them or the people coming up under you that want to do what you do or have the drive that you do? What do you want to leave in the cloud for them?
I would have to say, man, like, whatever you went through, trauma, you know, being told you can't do something, just believe in yourself, man. Everything, the door could open for you, you know, with hard work, you know, and also the assist of other good people helping you out, man. I would just say, like, don't give up on what you want to do. You know, do what you want to do. I've had a lot of people say, oh, why don't you go get a real job? You know, go work here, go work there. Stick to what you want to do. Yeah, don't let anybody shoot you down. You know, unless it's for a good reason.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Mark, I appreciate you, man. I want you to keep doing the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
And keep being an inspiration to not only the kids, but me. I only talk to people that are inspiration to me, and you definitely have been that as well, too. Another episode of The Cloud. We out here.